must provide a solution to a triggering problem. For instance, one of the problems I have is I want to know where I can get the best local food in the town. I don't want to come to Ilorin and go and eat fried rice. I want to eat tuwo and gbegiri. Is there an assistant that can provide that information for somebody like Amanda who is visiting Ilorin for the first time? So you just sit there and you go there and immediately you get there, you can even make your order. Everything now has an AI interface. Let's look for a problem that you can create a solution and that will make you more in want. Now he gave us a good problem because of visibility. Now, if you do biology, how many people, biology is now an option, unlike before in the days that it was compulsory. So we have, if you say you want to create something for English now, of course, English is compulsory, but a lot of people are in that particular place. So maybe you don't have to do it to secondary school children. Maybe you have to look for people who have majors, maybe in biological sciences, in zoology or something. Who will need it? Those are people who are going to become your research fellows that will help your app that you intend that you want to build. But all in all, good ideas, it means that you are thinking of creating a solution to a problem. But don't look at it like you want to create an app. You should want to create an assistant first. People who create dating apps, they started from assistants before creating dating apps. So let's start from there. And of course, one thing with us here in Kwara State is that we give the platform. And we'll support when we see it's scalable. We run hackathons here in the Innovation Hub. We have different summits. There are places where you can, this is an accelerator hub, where you have a startup. If it is scalable, the government will support it.
Amazing.
So please, let's think outside the box and see what we can do differently. That's what makes you irreplaceable.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for our commissioner. Thank you so much for indulging us. Thank you to all our participants. Thank you for joining. You can please return to your seats. Please, a round of applause for them. Very impressive, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and they brought about quite some very interesting ideas. And I know that if I had allowed more, I would have had like 50 ideas. We're going to be moving straight to our next panel session. Is there a challenge, please? Excuse me? Hello? What's going on? You're told to remove it by your guard at all. So what will happen with our next panel session? Okay. All right. Let's move on. So our next panel session, please a round of applause for everybody that has contributed once again. We're going to be talking about something very interesting as well. We will be talking about digital identity, data protection, and trust infrastructure. And we're going to be doing this because it's an innovation hub and we're very advanced. We're going to be having our speakers join us from online, virtually. Our very first speaker is Tope Ajawu. He is a Chief Delivery Officer at Blue Chip Technologies Limited. He has over 20 years of work experience. He has led teams that have successfully developed large and complex enterprise-wide projects. He has provided top-notch IT support for key platforms, and he has developed world-class technology products, platform end-to-end. So what are some of the things they have done? They are responsible for professional services such as pre-sales, solution delivery, and after-sales services. They are responsible for consulting, outsourcing business, and product management. Please, a round of applause as they join virtually. Mr. Tope Ajawu, thank you for being here with us. And he's still going to be joined virtually. We're having a virtual party right here. By Ademola Rez Afolabi. He is a business technology leader with nearly 2 decades of experience in digital transformation. They have done ERP product leadership and management consulting across where? Africa, Europe, and Asia. As the CTO at Software Solutions, he's also the executive director at Wabi Nigeria. They have led so many big projects. They were also notably at Coca-Cola Hellenic. They have steered routes to market digitalization, impacting markets where? This is very important. They have impacted markets in Nigeria. They have impacted markets in Russia. They have impacted markets in Italy. What were they using to do that? They were leveraging big data, machine learning, and AI algorithm to optimize sales and revenue generation across the distributors, the wholesalers, and the consumer networks. Please, if your hands are not too busy, a round of applause as we have Mr. Adebola Rez Afolabi joining us virtually on this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. And to actually moderate this very virtual, innovative panel session, we'll be calling on the experience designer at Premier Business Network, Mr. Toluwani Teriba, to come and help us to moderate this session. Please, a round of applause for him as he joins us.
Hi Topper, hi Rez. I'm not sure you guys can see me. I don't think the camera is currently picking me up. But
do you want to stay where I was staying? I think they can see the camera.
Okay, I guess we can do that. Please, can I get some?
They're zooming out. Please, can we catch Mr. Toluwani's face? Is it possible?
Yet, if you can hear me.
Well, we're getting there. Is it
Nearly.
Okay, 90%, 95%. Okay.
Okay, so.
There we go. But you just know the color of his shirt. But it's alright.
Maybe I should move.
I think you should actually stay where I was staying. So they will
Can I get help with the chair? Yeah, please, volunteer, please.
So if we can zoom into where I was staying before, I think that was better. Oh, okay, you can stay there. Yeah. Okay, yes. Thank you, sirs, for joining in.
So hi Topper, hi Rez. It's nice to meet you guys. Thank you for joining us, everyone. So let's just get right into it. So our topic is digital identity, data protection, and infrastructure. So what are we talking about? So I mean, we know in this AI age, right? A whole lot of pretty much. We know AI is trained on data, and we know how this data can be gotten from pretty much anywhere. So people are starting to ask these questions that, hey, what are these companies doing with my data? How do I know if I'm storing my data here, my data is all good? How do I know that if I submit my data in this place, it's not going to be used for, and just a lot of things that you're exposed to. So people I've been concerned about these things, and they're asking, basically, what should Nigeria now, like government-wise, do, say, like in the next 12, 24 months to make people feel more comfortable, feel much more that the government is trustworthy with this data. So I'm going to throw that at our panelists now so that they can just quickly answer that. Like, how can the government position itself in a way? What can they do to actually become much more trustworthy when it comes to our data? Rez, please, do you want to go first or?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. And hi to my co-panelist, Topper. Nice to be on this panel with you. Okay, this is the learning protocols. It it's not the forte, but okay. To answer the question, yeah. What should the government do in the next 24 months? I think with our use of social media, with our use of digital media, there's a lot of education in some ways. Maybe it could be half-baked, or people know one thing or another about their digital identity. At least everyone has a digital avatar, which means you have a digital version of yourself somewhere. The one that is real, the one that is curated, that's what you want people to see on TikTok, on Instagram, and there's a digital representation of that. People understand what it means to use their password to hackers. People understand what it means to share information and share their personal information across all of these platforms. But that is at the level of those, I would say, digital platforms. When we start to think about government, it then means that there are certain public services that we will need and that we are already consuming, and that we have to share our data with government. One thing, we are not going to be doing anything different from what we already do today in the legacy system, which is the paper system. When you want to renew your driver's license, you get to fill forms. When you go to the Ministry of Land to do certain documentations for the land you have just bought, you get to fill forms and provide certain information about yourself. So when we talk about the trust that we expect from government and what are the expectations in the next 24 months, my immediate take is in two areas. First is that government needs to increase awareness and do more education, irrespective of the maturity of the ecosystem. We need to educate people about how they move from assist today in the paper system and in whatever format that they share information about themselves into the future where it's going to be a little bit more centralized, it's going to be more federated than what it is. Essentially, it's still the same information that you give us. You already find it in some cabinets, but now we're digitalizing the process. And that really helps us serve you better. It helps you also access services better and in a more convenient way. So it's a two-way street. So there needs to be a lot of awareness, there needs to be a lot of education about that. So that is the first lever in the next 24 months, as far as what I can tell. And secondly, is for the government to also now improve the user experience. And when I say user experience, is in the infrastructure and the implement of that infrastructure for everybody that comes in contact with it, every contact point. So when we say user experience, when I'm thinking of, for example, you're trying to do the transaction, they say put your NIN, and they say the NIN server is down. So therefore, you can't access that service for another 24 hours. So we also need to have the backbone that increases the experience such that even after people are sold on the idea and the potential benefits to be part of that system, they also need to show the value at every contact point. Not only that they get the service, but they also get it in good time. The experience is good. That is with the technology, and whoever is also serving them or supporting that technology, a service desk, a receptionist, somebody that also trained to make sure the experience is good for the citizenship. I think if you work on this, right, in the next 24 months, while the infrastructure is taking time to sort of mature, we'll start to take the citizenry on the journey with the government, and eventually we will grow into the benefits of having this digital infrastructure, digital identity, and the trust environment that is very critical to the growth of the ecosystem. That's about it for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Rez. Yeah, I agree. I mean, definitely, the government puts in word out there that, hey man, we're not using your data for anything as far as lets people take, be much more confident in these things. And of course, they have to back you up with proof. Like if they actually go to all these places where people are trying to get driver's license, and you see that like the user experience has actually increased, like the use of tech is actually effective. Not that you've done some new redevelopment and it doesn't work, or it is still in the old models where you're trying to get a driver's license and that thing is taking it's taking your whole day, you have to come back, all those things that we suffer really well now. So for me now, I really want to explore what is the state of our current data protection laws? Like, I'm very, very curious about that, like about the current state of our digital identity and data regulation, and I'm shooting that now at Tope Ajao. Like, how are things today?
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, you can. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks. I think that the first speaker has alluded to a number of things. Even in your own last comment, you just alluded to the fact that we have a number of things in terms of where to start from. So we've got all sorts of data sitting in different places. Is there a policy around data protection? Yes, there is. It didn't even take us a long time. After GDPR, before we did NDPR, it didn't take a long time. The government quickly moved on and wrote that policy. Now, the challenge, I think, is what we then do with these policies. Rez mentioned a number of things. Like your last question was, what should we do? And I'm saying that let's do something. Use the data. The government has got the data. Use the data. If you think about it, in the last time, I think someone said that WhatsApp is probably one of those ways that we communicate a lot today. And that's true. But you see, why do we use WhatsApp a lot? Why? If you ask yourself, why? It's very convenient. And I get things done quickly. So think about it. If government today offers services and you are guaranteed that those channels that you've put in there, that's the fastest place that you will get service, you will use it. There is the education that Rez mentioned something about. But we are talking about educating the citizens. But there's a whole lot of education that needs to happen on the government side. And I'll break it down, not because they're not knowledgeable, no. But it's more around the next set of things we must do. Have the folks in government able to do it by themselves. If not, then we need to build capability. Otherwise, we do public-private partnerships. There is really nothing government wants to do today that the private companies have not started to do. And we can borrow from them. Today, you can't, there are a lot before, up until, I think it was Act. You really could barely open a bank account online. Everybody said it was impossible. Then we started it. And before you know it, it's now a normal thing. You don't need to pop up on your phones. And you can open a bank account. And people are not afraid. I'm not sure the numbers of people that if you take a roll call of people in there right now, how many of them have like an OP account? Most likely almost everyone. They were not worried about data protection or data privacy. They were opening an account. Why? Because it just works. And they have a perception of trust. And so these are things when the issue of education came up, it means that people must also have a perception of trust. That if I provide this data to government, I am very sure it's safe. The truth is, you don't have a choice. If you want to do driver's license, you have to provide the data. So it's not like you really have a choice. The data is already there with government. The question is, please, government, use the data and provide me top-notch services. I don't think that the citizens are as much worried about data privacy and protection as much as what getting services from governments. And I think that that's where we really need to put our focus. And I'm seeing various governments, from Lagos State to Kwara State to the folks in Kaduna, and then a number of those states beginning to embrace technology a lot, to do a lot of things. Someone mentioned the driver's license. The experience there is better. It's not where it's meant to be. It is better. But can it be better? Yes, it can. Can we make it better? And my last point will be, I think that if there is anything we need to focus right now, is to turn that shift to a set-focused shift, which means government, we promise you that if you have got this challenge, within X number of minutes or days or hours, we commit to you that we will fix that problem. And we can hold them accountable to that. Once we're able to get into the service mindset, every other block begins to go. And I think that it's one of the areas where we need to focus on. Because already, citizens have provided a lot of data already. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. A lot to unpack from that, because both of you that have now mentioned just how important awareness is in the citizen government nexus, where people beyond these things existing, there needs to be that confidence in these applications, in these services that we use. And of course, Rez mentioned it. He used UX, and you are using a service mindset, which are pretty much the same thing. You know, being very, very, very intentional about how a service is used. Being able to tell you that, hey, in 3 hours we're able to solve this problem. Being able to tell you that, like, hey, by the time you go through this exact process, you would find the solution you want at the end of that process. And people being less of dreading coming to these places to come and use government services, and actually just being able to know that, like, hey, if I actually try to get my driver's license tomorrow, I go out, I will get that driver's license. If I need to complain about XYZ, someone is going to hear me, and my problem is going to be sorted. So, and of course, again, you alluded to that public-private partnerships where, of course, if you want to get anything done, you might as well call the guys that know how to get it done. So, regarding that, right, okay, there must be that approach to private-public partnerships. What do you think, pillars-wise, right, what do you think the government needs to put in place to effect that mentality where they're actually beyond good intentions, they are effectively entering into these public-private partnerships that can transform services as we understand it now. I want to hear your thoughts on that topic.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that we are seeing what we are discussing, it's really about the willpower of the leaders, right? A lot of policies are in place. You'll be shocked with the amount of policies that we have as a country. But the real challenge is the willpower to want to get that particular thing done. And half the time, you also obviously want to also ask yourself, what's the interest in getting this particular problem solved for the masses, for the people? So, if you look at partnerships, and I read about a lady based in the US, and she was worried about the cost of procurement, which is a big problem across the globe, not only in Nigeria. You will remember Elon Musk was complaining about how much it was going to cost to do his survey. The budget was $10 million. But he said, with $100,000, I could use survey monkey to carry this out. So the issue of procurement in government is not only us, it's not a problem to us. It's a problem globally. However, if you then look at leveraging of people that have done it separately, in a number of times, people are doing what you're trying to do, like I said, a lot of organizations, a lot of private, and Red mentioned the number of things he's doing for people even outside of Nigeria. He's got clients outside of Nigeria. He's got clients as well, everywhere in Nigeria. All the retail, all the big banks. We've solved a lot of problems in helping them to get insights. So why is it then difficult for us to solve those same set of problems for our citizens? If you think about robbery, people come to probably break the windscreen and then they pull out the brake box of the car. By the time they're leaving that car, there are all sorts of thumbprints on the windshield, on the parts of the body, different parts of the car. Why is it so difficult to find that individual? It's not. Because people have skills locally that can solve those kind of problems. That's number one. If you look at the theft that happened in France, the Louvre, right? They found 2 or 3 of them already. How? Because it's an issue of identity. We've got the repository as well in Nigeria today. But is there the real power to truly want to get this solved? And very often in our country, what you will see a lot more is you see the private sector push a lot of things up all the way. And then at some point, they will receive government money. And from that point on, there is a scale that is unbelievable. So you will see the startups that you have seen today, they push themselves. They push the limits. And then at certain point, they will receive government help. If you look at entertainment, it wasn't really that government was what that was at the base of it. It was entrepreneurs that broke barriers and they got to do all of those things. So I think government also has to find those professionals, find those experts, and they're not far away, that can solve a lot of the problems we're talking about. One of the models that I've seen work in the US is what I was referring to about the woman. She said she had played in the startup space and she realized that the cost of procurement was a lot. And then she had introductions to one of the governors of the state in the US. And she said, I'm going to look for people that are professionals in the startup space that have expertise. And I'm going to cut out their time for them to come and be solving some of the problems that are left in government. And with a budget very, in fact, it wasn't expensive. Why? Because those people were volunteering their time. If you ask Brett and say, please, can you volunteer 3 days or 5 days of your time in 1 year to serve government? I'm sure he will oblige. He will spend his vacation hours and give it his 40 hours. After all, if you can pull all of that together, imagine. Even you that you are a moderator, we say we need 20 or 40 hours of your time in only 1 year. And we pull all of that together. And then we begin to take, we're intentional about what we want to use your time for. So we say, in this amount of time, help us build the user interface that can do this. Get somebody else. You just need 40 hours of your time to do your expert when it comes to service. Throw in 40 hours of your time just in 1 year. And we build all of that and we put it together. You'll be amazed at how much we can achieve. But it boils down to what? How intentional are we? Alright, and what's just at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for that. Essentially, we should be the change that we want to see. Please, Rez, you've been part of a whole lot of digital transformation initiatives. My question now to you is, what design or governance features should a digital identity service have that would actually give them a solid foundation to win citizen confidence beyond as I'm talking about technical aspects now, like speed or security, like what are the most important things, applications that the government are building should have to actually win citizen confidence?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So, to win the confidence or get the confidence of citizenship out of I would say service points of government, because at the end of the day, we have a very high tendency to techify these things and they look so big and so gigantic. But at the end of the day, an app is a service point, the website is a service point where you're interacting with government. What is behind it technically At the end of the day, the citizen, who is the user in this case, can care less about it. Maybe they're interested in the intricacies of building stuff like that for learning purposes. So, what do you want to have to win the trust of the citizenship? First is security. The person who is providing information must be sure that my data is safe. How can they know technically? Almost no way, but the way it is pitched, the way it is sold to them. And I'm wearing the cap or the art of a citizen now in terms of the communication, which again is part of the education that we spoke about earlier on. You want to win their trust, you need to come with, the information broken down, simplified. Your information is secure on one hand. On the other hand, is also what is the benefit to them. So, Tokwe spoke about biometrics earlier on from the robbery case. And I know this summit is all about AI, and I just can't resist the temptation to throw this in to say, we want to get on that AI journey, but there's no AI without data. And there's no data without the people and the economic activities, the day-to-day, the needs, services, and everything that we want to do. So if you're already failing in the point of contact, then we're never going to have the real data or the true data that the government can then use in security to use biometrics to solve theft, in agriculture to project food consumption, in health to be able to look at medical records from a didactic point of view, but on a mass level to look at what the numbers are saying. And these are things that feed into budgeting, into planning, and even how the citizenship services is also further improved in terms of what we want. So, very important that besides security, that education, the accessibility, the ability in local language, in pidgin, in English, in any way to simplify it as much as possible, why it is important for the citizen to engage. So that's the second one. And then what else do I think the government needs to have in place? I'll also say dependability. It goes a little bit back to the service point. We know that when I come to that point to renew my driver's license, I can fill my data in, and in a few seconds, in a few minutes, I am done, because I already gave my passport to the Nigerian immigration when I went to renew my immigration. So when I'm going to do driver's license, I don't need to give that information again. The government has it already. My fingerprints, when I went to, when I was traveling and I checked in at the airport, maybe I put my thumbprint that first point of when I went to renew the passport itself from the Ministry of Interior, government has my fingerprint. So therefore, I don't need to put that in. Which means, instead of filling all that information every single time, when I'm engaging the government agency, everything is already centralized, it's federated. And federated means something else totally. But when it is centralized, it means they can pull that information, and at my service point, I just need to put the minimum information required in a few seconds. Performance is there, uptime is there, I can get the service that I want and I can move on. I do think with these key three things, it makes the job easier, and as government starts to improve and build on that infrastructure, of course, the citizen will be part of that journey and they will contribute to it. Because it's not an end in itself, you can only build and build and build and build. And I would say Rwanda is a very good reference which we have seen. They have a smaller population, but Rwanda is an African story that tells us that this thing we're talking about, in digital identity, in infrastructure, and also the trust component of it is very, very possible because we are the same Africans. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rez. Thank you so much. So basically, in
you didn't lose me at any point in time.
What do you say?
Okay. I was wondering if you lost me at some point in time as I was speaking.
Oh, no. I was supposed to be my mic. Yeah, I heard you. We heard you. So yes, in conclusion, essentially, the best way to build trust is to win on performance, currently for us. So thank you. I wish we had more time, but we have to round up now. It's been such a great conversation, so much to unpack. Thank you so much for coming, Rez. Thanks so much for coming, Tope. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our speakers who joined us virtually. Thank you to our moderator, Toluwani. Please a round of applause for him. Can I please get the team so we can have 2 chairs back? Thank you so much.